Hello, hello.
Hey, hey.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another show.
Oh, yeah, my mic wasn't on, but I'm here. Your mic is on, baby?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so if you clicked on this channel, that means that you may have approached someone, either if you're a female or a male, you approached someone and you didn't get the outcome that you wanted, that you were expecting, that you were desiring. So we're going to talk about that today.
Yes, but before we do, this is Terence and Jill, God-Ordained Union, and we are here to help increase kingdom marriages.
Yes, yes, there is a decline on kingdom marriages, on marriages. When we say kingdom marriages, it just simply means a marriage that God it's His perfect will, not something that you chose out of your own fleshly desires, but it's His, it's His perfect will, not a perfect person, not a perfect marriage, but a marriage that is also want the things of God, want all that He has for us, for your marriage, and because we're heirs to the kingdom, and we want, and we also want that marriage to do the assignment that God has called for us to do together in the union. So that's what a kingdom marriage is. Yes. So if you this is your first time on this channel and you feeling like, where is my spouse? Where is that man you're talking about? Where's that woman? What's wrong with me? Why haven't that person come? Or if they came, they didn't stay. I was really hoping that the last person was going to be the one, and he or she wasn't. What am I doing wrong? We understand. We've been there. We were in the single season for a long time, and we didn't settle. So
no, we didn't settle. And here's the thing: it's coming. It's coming. You have to know that God is working behind the scenes, or you wouldn't even be watching this video right now.
That's right.
So with that being said, just know that He's already working. And the thing is, because you're looking for somebody that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, it's not something that He's just going to snap His fingers and make happen. There's a process to this.
Yeah, as much as we I think sometimes we take the scripture suddenly, Amos 9, out of context. And so while it can happen, things can happen suddenly, everything is a process. Yes. Whether the process is a 24-hour process or a 24-year, I'm going to say 24-year, 24-month process, it's a process. And a lot of it has to do with where our heart posture is, if we're able to receive. A lot of it has to do with what is blocking. God has your person sitting on reserve, ready to release it. But there's so many things that could be blocking it or standing in the way, delaying it. And so that's what this channel is all about. So you are on the right channel. Yes. We go live every
Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And we pre-record videos and drop them every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can also join us for midnight prayer beginning at 11:50 p.m. Friday night into midnight Saturday morning. And it usually goes for 2 hours, but it just depends how the Holy Ghost flows. And so it's intercessory prayer, and feel free to join us. The information, the link for the prayer call is below, as well as all of our social media links. And make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yes, subscribe.
Yeah.
And share this with others, because believe it or not, we all know somebody that would love to be married.
Yes.
And they're not. So share this with them.
Yeah, encourage
Let this
somebody.
be a blessing for them as well.
Yep. All right.
So, baby, I've been looking at some of our comments and the emails that we're sending. And there are some people that are having some problems when it comes to their approach. It could be, it's both. In person and indeed going into someone's DM.
Right.
That they're meeting someone, they're approaching them, and they're not getting the desired outcome.
Right.
So what can you tell them that can help them with that situation?
Okay. So we got an email that stood out. We'll share. Of course, we're not going to share the person, but we'll share the gist of the email. And we got a comment on one of the videos last week. They both stood out. And I think, and we want to share that here because I think what's happening is that, first of all, there's this big controversy about if a woman should approach a man. We're in a different culture, and let's just be clear. It happens, and it can happen, and it's all right if it happens, because an approach can be anything from saying happy birthday to someone you are a prospect. You're looking at happy birthday on Facebook, sending him a happy birthday message, or sending him a happy birthday DM. Or an approach can also go to the extreme of you're dating someone and you're approaching him about where's my ring? That's an approach as well. So we have to, it's the approach, it's the tone of the approach that we have to really dissect. And also we want to dissect the outcomes, the unfavorable outcomes of the approach that we need to talk about. But this is the thing. I think what is happening is that when people are approaching a prospect, whether you're mainly these are females who are doing this, when they're approaching a prospect, they are approaching the prospect with the mindset and sole intent of marriage. And that's not the mission of approaching someone.
It shouldn't be the mission.
It shouldn't be the mission. And I think that's where there's blurred lines, because when you're talking about, well, I'm dating with purpose. Well, who we all were. We want to be married. Right. We wanted to be married. But the approach is not to see if there's a connection, if he want to be married and you want to be married. The approach is to see if y'all could connect and get to know each other. And the result would be marriage. Right. And so I think that's what's happening. It's like the approach is so aggressive. It's so aggressive.
And it's so direct that it's turning off the person that you're approaching. You know, you don't want to walk up to someone, and I know I'm oversimplifying this, but you don't want to walk up to somebody and say, "Hello, are you my new wife?"
Right.
You know, how you doing, wife?
Or hello, you are, God said you're my husband.
Yeah, so you don't want to walk up with that. You want to walk up with a soft approach that basically says, "Hey, I like you. I like to get to know you. What's your name?
Yeah, what's your name?
Would you mind if I sit down?" Or, what? It needs to be soft. You need to introduce yourself in such a way that they can receive it, because you don't know what that person's thinking about when you walk up to them. Right. Especially if it's somebody you've never seen before. So you don't know if that person came there to that location after lunch, if they came there after work, if they came there to get away, if they came there to blow off some steam, if they came there to just pass some time for a later meeting. You don't know what is going through that person's mind.
And even if you're approaching someone in their DM, it's the approach has to be so simple. It has to be such a simple, and that's used to turn me off, especially when I was on a dating site. Guys would approach me. I need to see more pictures. Dude, click. You're not it. I need to see more pictures of you. Bye-bye. Your approach, it's the approach. And so let me share so there was a comment, and I know several of you saw this comment. There was a comment, and I don't even remember what video it was a comment on, but the young lady said this, and I'm paraphrasing it. She said she had been admiring this guy at her church for a couple of years, and from afar. And she was admiring him from, I would love to, date him type of thing. So she was admiring him. And so they really hadn't had an opportunity to have an opportunity where they can have a conversation. So there was an event at church which presented an opportunity for them. I'm assuming the way I was reading this, maybe they were at the same table, but they were at an event. And so because they were at an event and they were in each other's presence, they had an opportunity to have a conversation. So the guy in the conversation, the guy said, you know, when I was younger, you know, we moved a lot. You know, my parents were military, so we moved a lot. The girl, the female who wrote this comment, said her response to him was, do you think that's why you have problems with relationships? And the guy walked away. So she went on in the comment to say that how rude he was, he ghosted me, how rude. I am so glad that he wasn't the one. That was a narcissist. And what else did she say? He's in a very dark place, and how dare he? And that's not Christ-like. And she said for a long time she used to think something was wrong with her, but she now realized that he was just not the one, and very rude and abrupt. And I replied, I said, I would have walked away too. I would have walked off. And she responded, we were going back and forth in the comments, and she said, I thought it was, I didn't think anything was wrong with what I said to him. I said, maybe I'm missing something. Were you talking about relationships? And she said, no. She said, but she didn't think that was an inappropriate response. How can you draw a conclusion first that this man has problem with relationships? And why would you even go there? And she said, I thought it was the perfect setting. No, it was not the perfect setting. You were at an open event. And, you know, she and I were going back and forth. And I said, you should take this as a learning lesson, and learn from this. And she didn't like my response. And she deleted the comment. And I think she unsubscribed, which is fine, which is fine. But that type of approach and reaction, which goes into when you don't get the response that you want, how you react, it's that energy that people don't realize. It's that spirit that is driving you, that is navigating you and driving you through all of your approaches. How you respond to a person, how you approach it is how you respond to someone who was unfair, that you had an unfavorable outcome with, is how you're going to go to the next approach. It all plays together. If you don't
learn from it.
Mm-hmm. If you don't learn from it,
you know, and that's what I've been alluding to as we respond to comments, is saying, see, she went to this person that she's never had a conversation with, never had words with, but she was interested in. She went, one, like she said, with the wrong heart posture. She went with the wrong tone. And then she accused or suggested that he's having problems with relationships. And she don't even know him.
She doesn't even know him.
So here's what I suggest and what I've been saying. We can't put pressure on the people that we're interested in to respond in a very specific way to make us feel good about ourselves. Because every single person has free will. Every single person is on their own journey before you meet them. That does not include you. So you don't know where they're going, where they're headed, what's in their mind, what's in their heart. So you want people to receive you. Even when you say hello to someone on the street, you actually look for them to say hello back. You know, What you don't look for them to do is throw their nose up at you, turn their head, flip you off or whatever, because all you did was say hello.
Right.
But if you did it with a smile, you did it and it was warm, it was greeting, then most of the time people are going to say hello as they're walking past or what have you.
But that's a good point. Because if you said hello, if I said hello and you said hello back, but then you walked away, do I get mad at you?
You shouldn't.
And see, that's the other part of this. One is the approach. One is the behavior after the approach is not favorable.
Yeah.
And it's because you're going in the approach the wrong way. And so the way you go in is the way you come out. And if you don't learn from it, you're going to keep going into the next one the same way. Were you saying something else?
No, what I was going to say is just, I think I said what I was going to say, but the thing is, you have to understand that to get to your desired outcome, which long term is a marriage. And I say long term, not saying you want it 10 years from now. I'm saying long term, meaning you're going through a process. You're going through the process.
Build equity.
So oh my God, that's just a beautiful phrase. We just learned this phrase.
Yes, that's what I've been saying. Planting seeds. What I'm saying, you want to build.
You want to build equity. So the first thing is to give a soft message. Hello, how you doing? And give them a chance to respond. If they smile, then that's telling you, okay, they don't think I'm crazy. They don't look at me as a mass murderer. I can maybe say something else because they're still standing here. Or, so boom, you say the next thing that you feel like you want to say. But don't run up to somebody. We used to say it in sales. We used to say, don't walk up to people like you're a crackhead because you're going to chase them away. So you don't want to do that. You want to have, again, I keep using the word soft. You want to approach people with a very welcoming, I want to know that you like me when you say hello, how you doing, before you say the next thing. I should be able to see that in your smile. I should be able to see that in your greeting. I should be able to see that in everything you use to approach me. It shouldn't be, I got to read into it so much that I'm trying to uncover something about a person that I've never even seen before. It shouldn't be that serious just to say hello or to even leave a message in somebody's DM. You want to start up and allow you to build, like she just said, build equity. You can go to those other things later once you build a rapport with that person and it's okay or it's not okay depending on which way you're trying to go with it. But in the beginning, you definitely want to be as soft as you can so they can receive you. It's all about drawing bees to you rather than reflecting them.
So the other email we got was from a subscriber, and she said that she had contacted this person, I think through DM, and she wanted to share the string, a snapshot of the conversation. So we say yes. So she sent it to us. She said, and this is paraphrasing, but she said she reached out to the guy. She said, hello, how are you, or whatever. He responded back and said, I'm good. How are you? And she responded and said, and I'm paraphrasing this. So it was a short approach. He responded short. And then she then went in a long thing about the weather, if I recall. It was nothing in that long thing that would hook me. It was very general. It was something like the weather in South Carolina has been iffy. It's been, we're expecting a tornado. Then they said it wasn't going to be a tornado. Then now, what do you know? Butterflies and the sunshine, and but then again, this is the gist of that long. And so he didn't respond after that. And so she felt ghosted. So she was concerned. So she was saying to us, I was responding because, again, most 9 times out of 10, we have this rule where if it's a woman that's going to contact us, I'm going to be the one that responds unless we respond together. So I told her, I said, She said, is it something I said? Was it something I said? This is the thing. It's nothing you did wrong. It's nothing, you could have said all of that. It was just maybe the wrong person and he's not the one. I said, you have to come to the point where it's going to be what it's going to be. And you got to be okay with that. She was so bent out of shape. She responded back and said, I want to have Terrence's point of view.
Which is most of the time the worst thing to ask for.
The worst.
Because I'm a guy and I'm straight to the point. And I ain't trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but I don't need you to walk up to me anywhere and then tell me a long thing about the weather that has nothing to do with neither one of us.
Right. And we don't even
because the guy was probably there again, and I'm not trying to be rude. What I will be is real. You have to remember every single person we approach, whether it's through DM, whether it's in person, whether it's by text, whatever it is, you got to remember, if you two have never, ever met each other, then you're on separate journeys. And you don't know where his mindset is when you walk up and approach him. So you're interrupting something that he's already doing when you walk up to him. Okay? He might be watching a ball game if it's at a sports bar. He might be talking to the bar. You just don't know. So when you walk up to him and you say, hey, how you doing? And he said, hey, how you doing? Okay, now you have his attention. Say something that's going to keep his attention. And it needs to be short. Don't go into a very long 3 or 4 minute spiel on anything, because the whole time you're talking, he's thinking, okay, what is wrong with this person?
What does she want? She just interrupted me.
She just interrupted me from whatever it is I'm doing, and I have no idea what she wants. Well, she just cut to the chase and tell me what she wants. Now, when I say cut to the chase, I don't mean say I'm looking for a husband. What I mean is say something else that's going to let him know that you're actually interested in him.
And I think some of the misconception is that if the guy does not respond back immediately and look at your profile and say love at first sight, then what I took from that email was that there seems to be a spirit of rejection going on. And him not responding, I don't care if it's her text was about the weather or about the Dallas Cowboys. If it's the one, it's the one, and he is going to respond favorably. But if it's not, we got to get to the point where we see the bigger picture that God is saying he ain't it. Check, move on. We got to come. But what is happening is that the rejection of the unfavorable response is tearing people apart, and it shouldn't. You watched enough of these videos to know. Okay, check off. I got to know him for 30 seconds, and he ain't the one. Let me move on.
Let me share something with you. Guys have gone through this since the beginning of time. You know, even when we were little, you go to those elementary or mid-school dances, and you ask a woman to dance, and she say no. There's a whole line of women sitting there against the wall. You look on the other side of the wall, there's a whole line of guys against the wall. You finally get the courage up to go ask one of them to dance. And usually it's the one that you really want to dance with. She says no. What guys have learned over the years, you say, okay, thank you. Boom, go to the next one. Would you like to dance? Would you like to dance? By the time we get to be 16, 17, 18 years old, a woman can say, I'm not interested in you. He goes straight and asks the next woman out.
He might even ask her friend.
He may even ask her friend if she's in a group.
Unfortunately.
But my point is,
he got the confidence to keep it moving.
You have to have the confidence. You know, they tell us in sales, get used to no. Because if you can get used to hearing the word no, because all you're looking for is one yes. You're only one conversation from your next yes, but you got to go through it. But you also got to tell yourself, God gave them free will. So what if I could see, a lot of times it ain't about you at all.
No.
It's just that you might have caught somebody at the wrong time.
Yes.
Let me give you an example, personal example. Me, Jill. When Jill first DM'd me, she told y'all, when I finally saw that she sent me a message, and I finally sent a message back and said, yeah, you deserve a conversation, then boom, I ghosted her. Not on purpose.
Not intentionally.
Not intentionally. But I didn't hit back or see her picture or none of that because I wasn't on social media like that. So I didn't see her photo in that message, that even conversation of us. I didn't see that for months, almost a full year.
You know how many people that follow this channel plug and poke negative comments, wanting me, a married woman to this man now, wanting to frame that as if he was not interested in me.
It wasn't that I was interested.
And it's okay, and I'm okay with that. If he wasn't interested in the moment. It wasn't that he wasn't interested in me. He wasn't interested in getting to know anybody.
It was just a bad
and
timing.
even if it was me, I was okay with that. I was okay with that.
But my point is, you don't know.
But you don't know.
So you got to stop telling yourself, I'm going to ask this person out and they better say yes, or then they got problems. Because now all you doing is
he's a narcissist.
Because all that's saying is, all that's doing is telling God that you ain't ready for a relationship, let alone marriage.
The way you respond. And that had become one of my biggest lessons in even going this whole thing. First of all, when I approached you, when I got up the nerve to go on your DM, you did not respond. Terence did not respond back to say, well, I'll give you a conversation until 3 days later. And then he responded and said, oh, he went when it was one night that I DM'd him. He didn't respond. It was like a Thursday when I DM'd him. He didn't respond back until Saturday morning. And when he responded back, that's when we had the short exchange. And I said, if I apologize, I don't mean to come. I don't usually do this. I said, but I saw you on the dating site. And that we had small conversations. He was like, oh man, I haven't been on that dating site in 5 years. And I remember saying, oh, well, you need to sue. You need to get I made it very comical and light. Oh, they are running your profile picture. They are running. Oh, you got to do something about that. And so it was very small conversation. And I said, I would love to have a phone conversation if and I said, if you are, I said in the initial message, if you are single, if you are taken, if you have, or you're dating, so please totally disregard this because delete this because I'm not trying to disrespect your relationship. But I saw you on a dating profile, but I've noticed that you're still on there. But something I said like that. But it was to the point. But I think the tone was
non-threatening.
It was non-threatening.
It was saying she would like to get to know me, and if I was already taken, or if I was in something that she was like, then I'm sorry, just disregard this. It was so soft that when I looked at it, even if I was in a relationship, I would not have been able, or I would not have taken it threatening or saying, oh, I can't believe she disrespected
I even put the emoji of bashful emoji because I wasn't used to doing that. But the point is that, so when Terence responded, and we've told this story many times, and I'm trying to make a point here. When Terence responded, Facebook automatically sent me a friend request from Terence. I didn't know that it was not directly from Terence. It was, I didn't know till months later that it was from an auto friend request, as if Terence had sent it. I say this to say, when he did not honor his commitment for us to have a phone conversation, I was totally okay with it. Because to me, how God would have it, to me it says he still wants to, be friends. He's just right now, he's just in a place where he's just not interested, which made me continue to want to pray for him. So my tone, my response, and people ask me all the time, how did I feel? I felt great. I felt at peace because I felt like it had nothing to do with me why he decided not to take the phone conversation. He said he wasn't single. He said he wasn't in a relationship. He said that, he was very pleasant, but he just did not decide to take me up on the offer to call, to have a phone conversation. I was okay with that because at least he was my Facebook friend. He's got a life. And I took it that way. And that was the God's honest truth. Now, had I not got that friend request, I probably may have felt what I would have felt was, and I did feel a little bit of this, daggone, I shouldn't even have approached that dude. I would have also probably, God's grace and mercy was so awesome the way he set it up, because it gave me peace to know that this guy, he's not interested, but yet he still wants to be my friend. And that's how I carried it. Like, this is now my friend, even if it's just a friend from a distance, just a Facebook friend. I'm cool with that. I'm going to continue to pray for this guy. And I believe because I was in that heart posture, which God set it up, because I was in that heart posture is what brought him back. It was able to receive him back.
Here's the thing. And we've been saying this, if y'all go back and look at the very beginning of us doing this platform, we've been saying you got to include God first. There's a reason why we're saying that, because there's some things that God can do that you cannot do. All of this stuff, me being on a website that I was no longer on for 5 years, and they were still showing my platform, my profile, and
2 different ones,
and then connecting the dots the way God orchestrated this whole thing.
I shouldn't have been able to find him.
That is exactly why we keep referring you to God. You got to let your petitions be known. Then you have to trust him and get out of the way.
Yeah, so if you get a unfavorable response, it does not mean that that person is not it. It may mean that it's not it. Whatever it is, you just got to be okay with because all things work together for the good of them who are called by the Lord, who are called. And
so,
wait a minute, I don't know. Hold up. All things work together for the good of them who are called by the Lord according to his purpose.
So here's the thing. Yeah.
Wait a minute, I want to get that scripture right. The point is,
Google it, baby.
Okay. The point is that because everything is working in your favor. If you say, God, this is what I want you to order my steps. Everything is in your favor. Even what appears to be as I'm not interested in you, is still working in your favor. It is still working. And until you look at it from that perspective, you're going to continue to be led by your feelings, your emotions, your rejection, the things that you should be flying above, things that you should have been have already been delivered from. If you're still dealing with the spirit of rejection.
Because here's the thing, the enemy's job is to steal, kill, and destroy. And all he's doing is trying to create a narrative that's going to keep you from meeting the person in the first place. So if you even go into this not expecting the enemy to try something, then you're still going into it unprepared. Yep. You're still going into it unaware. Yep. You're still going into it naive. So regardless of what the response is, you're not equipped to handle it correctly because you're not allowing the Holy Spirit to lead you and to guide you and to direct your path. At the same token, the fact, going by what these 2 examples that we just gave, going by those, she and I wouldn't even be together.
Yeah, because if I would have told certain people, certain girlfriends, and Terence 11 months later came back in my DM, according to, the strong Black woman, how dare he come back in your DM? How dare he? He had his chance. He had his opportunities. Click. see ya. You wasn't interested before. And the other narrative that is being pushed is he wasn't interested. All of a sudden now he interested. He don't even like you. Now all of a sudden he's not attracted to you. Now all of a sudden he is. Yeah, that's sketchy. That's the other narrative that's being pushed. And so when I say God's grace and mercy, when Terence DM'd me, I received him. I received it. I didn't know where it was going. I'm thinking, okay, this is my Facebook friend. He's just saying hi. I know he's a man of few words. I've come to know that. And so, and
that's another reason, not to cut you off. No. That's another reason why I keep sharing. You got to be careful with assuming, because people are on their own path.
Yes.
And just because a person didn't say something you wanted them to say doesn't mean they're not interested in you. It just means right now they're distracted in their own life and what's going on in their own life. And they hadn't even considered you as a mate, because they're sitting there saying, I got some issues that I'm trying to take care of that has nothing to do with this person. And they may not have the time at that particular moment, that very second, to look at you and say, oh, I love to date her. So what they're doing is just, they're in their own thing. They're in their own business. They're in their own world. And right now, you're not included in that world.
And you got to understand that. You got to have patience, understanding, and respect for people where they are when y'all cross paths.
Because there's somebody.
You got to yes.
There's somebody I know. I can say this and I can mean this with everything in me. There's somebody that's going to run into someone and it's going to work out. And you guys going to realize that you met years later or years earlier. And you didn't think when you met them back then that they would be the one. And why? Because the timing wasn't right.
And let me tell you something. Do not be caught up in this whole another agenda that they're pushing. Don't spin the block. Don't spin the block. Sometimes it came around. One time it came around and it didn't work. This time it may work. So don't close what, you know what I mean? We don't know how God is going to work. And I got the scripture. Let me go back and read it. So it's Romans 8:28. Of course, we know that. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. His purpose is for you to marry, for you to have that God-ordained. If you say you love God and you trust him, all things are working for your good. Either you believe it or you don't.
Look, the key, if y'all want to be honest, the key to you finding who you're supposed to be with is going to be that approach, because that's the first impression.
And not only
everything builds from that. So what you need to understand is, even if God put a person in your path, allow that relationship to develop organically, so the real purpose of why God wanted y'all to meet reveals itself. Everybody you meet isn't supposed to be your girlfriend or boyfriend. That isn't supposed to be your husband or wife.
And I know
some
you won't
people
want
might
to
be
hear
a business partner. Some people might even be a business opportunity. But you don't know that if you're trying to push marriage.
And for those who keep saying, well, I only court for purpose. I only court for purpose, and I court for marriage.
But you got to get to the court first.
You got to get there.
You don't court somebody from hello.
You got to get there. You want to birth the baby before you make love.
So
slow down.
Get out your own way.
Get out
Stop
your way.
Stop putting pressure on people, because some of us, I'm trying to include us in this, because we went through everything y'all are going through. Okay? Some people have not been delivered from everything that they're having some problems with. So when you meet someone, don't try to push those issues onto them. Don't make it their problem because you didn't like the response. You have to be on. That's why we did a video that said after each breakup, You should do these things. It's so when you go to the next one, you'll have a clean heart, a pure heart. You've gone through those steps.
And you ain't
get
transferring that trauma to the next
to get
person.
all of those things out your system and get closure before you go into a new relationship, so you can go into it healthy. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you can be healthy.
Yes. You ain't perfect. None of us.
No, none of us are perfect.
But what's happening is that those little things that you carrying, those little things, they going before you and they screwing it up before you even get there.
Yeah.
It's screwing it up. And I don't even want friends like that. Definitely wouldn't want to be married to a person like that.
That's why you have to have such a strong relationship with God. And that's so you can have discernment on even who to talk to. You know, you might have a friend that you can share everything with and everything's going to be great. But you also might have a friend or two that you need to keep your mouth closed to this whole process, because they're going to tell you something that may not be to benefit you.
Right.
It may be to keep you where you are. You just don't know. So you need discernment, and you get discernment from the Holy Spirit.
Behind choosing salvation, this is the most important decision
you will ever make.
And you want to make sure
you get it right.
This ain't nothing to play with.
No, which is why we're trying to be as understanding and as helpful to you as we can be, without going around the block, up the street, down the hill, when we can go straight to your house and knock on the door and say, look, here's what,
I'm concerned. I'm like, just from these little comments, I'm concerned.
And here's one of my concerns. One of my concerns is, why are y'all in your feelings in the introduction? You don't even know what that person is going to be in your life yet, if they're going to be anything, for you to already be in your feelings, which sends a negative message to them anyway.
Yeah, it's leading. You don't realize it. That's what the part you don't realize when you even approach them or responded to their approach. That spirit is seeping through, and you wonder why. Somebody said, well, they just wasn't, people say it wasn't chemistry. It just wasn't. It's because that's a block. It's a block that is a block that a lot of people don't realize they're carrying. It's a block. And so anytime you're upset because he didn't respond back to your hello, and you don't like the fact that you quote unquote just got ghosted, or as the girl said, the guy walked off, and then she said that was not Christ-like. I said, well, the Christ that I know, he went to an event and flipped tables. So he was very radical. So just to judge someone, prejudge someone, and you don't even know them, and then to have this disdain towards them.
But here's something you should be asking yourself. If you judge someone that harshly off of one comment, why did you approach them to be your God-ordained mate?
I'm telling you.
See that right there. You're prejudging them. But you the one chose to go approach them because you was considering them to be your God-ordained spouse.
But when you didn't get the outcome, now all of a sudden they are the worst person. But a child of God.
You have to be careful of what you're telling yourself, what you're convincing yourself, and then when things don't work out, what you're telling yourself. Because in every single conversation, it takes two. And there's always two sides of it. I promise you, if you go to that particular individual and say, what happened between you and this young lady that you walked away? He might say something as simple as, she was talking about something with the weather. I had,
No, that was
she may say, well, she accused me of having problems with relationships, but I've never had a conversation
she
with that woman.
Insinuated that I had problems.
I've never had a conversation with that woman
I've
before,
never
so I don't
had a
know where
conversation.
she got that from.
Yeah.
So
why is it because I'm 40 and not married?
Yeah,
like,
so
why are you?
He just walked away because he was confused and he didn't want to say anything.
No, he did the right thing. He walked away because he probably was so angry or so caught off guard that if he didn't walk away, he would have said something that would have hurt her worse.
Yeah.
So his best response was to just walk. I would have excused myself from it too. I don't even want to be around your type of energy. And just from me and her going back and forth in the comments, I can already feel what type of woman this person was. I was like, well, God just protected that dude. He protected that dude.
And that's, again, it comes back to your heart posture. Mm-hmm. The one thing you can't fake is your heart posture. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why your heart controls all of your behavior.
And let me just say on the flip side of this, because I want to say it the other way too. When the men approaching, I don't want to use this word, but when you're not in a situation where you're not where you want to be as far as growth in life and having a few, goals or whatever, and you really don't have anything to offer a relationship, even, if you know that you can't afford to date right now, men, the way you approach a woman, you got to take those things into consideration as well. Mm-hmm. And so if she rejects you, she has every right to. And you should go back and do some self-evaluation as well.
Yeah, this ain't about a gender thing.
It's not.
This is about the approach, regardless of which gender. All I'm saying about, if I was going to say something gender related about women, it would only be that, say, men have been turned down for years. We've gotten used to it.
Right.
Now women are being more aggressive, being more assertive. So you're starting to experience that. And it might be a new thing for you. But just speaking from a man's perspective, just say, don't take it personal. Just say, it's their right to say yes or no.
It's their right
and just go to the next person.
Go to the next person.
Because they could have saved you a heartache. Mm-hmm. They could be saving you a heartache. And your feelings should not be attached to that because you don't even know the person yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just you saying, hey, how you doing? Would you like to have another conversation with me? And they say no. Say, oh, okay, cool. There are so many other people in the world that you can ask or can ask you that one person, you shouldn't even remember that person tomorrow. It's just that many people out there that you can possibly be connected to.
If you are approaching and you're not getting the outcome, you have to do some introspection.
You should do that after every anyway.
Like,
you should say, well, how did I do this?
How did I do this? Did I do this wrong? Did I say this?
Did I have a smile on my face?
Yes. Was I doing it too eagerly? Was I too pressed?
Look, if you go into a sports bar, and I say sports bars because we eat at a lot of different places, and sports bars.
We're not saying, I know, we're just saying go out to eat.
Yeah. But my point is, when you first walk into that room, that establishment, when you're waiting for them to sit you, smile. Don't look like you just had the worst day at work and you look like you're ready to blow up.
Do you
have a smile on your face, because the other people that are single that are in that place are looking at everybody that walk in.
Do you know your whole demeanor could be a block? And we talked about, we had a whole video on this. Yeah. Your whole demeanor, and you don't even realize that you're walking around like as a Debbie Downer. You don't realize it. We did a whole
video because I've actually met, believe it or not, the name tags that you can buy that says, hello, my name is, and then you write your name on it. I met the guy that created those and learned his whole story about how that was created. And now I don't know if he's still doing it, but back then he was going around doing public speaking, teaching people that was in sales and marketing how to present themselves. And I'm telling you, when you walk into a building, an establishment, a room, you have the attention of everybody that was already in the room before you got there. So you need to smile.
Ladies, walk in there like you command the room.
And if you are smiling and you look like you're having a blessed day, all of those people are going to say to themselves, I need to say something to that person before I leave.
And I know this video is super long, but that we went to a restaurant we went to the 5-star restaurant a couple of months ago. And we walked in there. Of course, you know, Terence was suited down. You know, I had on a dress or whatever. We walked in there and it was mostly non-blacks. Them people, and there was a few blacks there too. Them people were looking at us like, and they were dressed too, like for the, you know, they were looking like us. Like first of all, we had a couple of waiters. We had a matron. Everybody was tending to us. It was our first time there. We honestly was spending the least in the. I mean, these were high profile. I mean, you know, these were look like high income earners in this restaurant, and we just was like, okay, well, we're gonna put it in our budget to go because we liked it, you know. But we walked in there, and these people were looking at us like, who are they?
Yeah, they came asked us if we wanted a tour. They took us down to
the wine cellar.
Where the wines were, and I mean the whole nine.
Yeah. So it's your
it's how you present yourself.
It's how you present yourself.
If you go somewhere looking for a great time, you're gonna find a great time. If you go somewhere looking for a negative time, you're gonna find it.
Yep.
So you have no one to blame but yourself.
Yep. And it's all in your it's hard work. Yeah. It's hard work. It's exuding from
me. Yeah, we're not trying to just
all right, this 50 minutes.
Run this in, but we need to push this point in because if you don't get past the intro, if you don't get past the approach, the rest of it is downhill.
It's downhill. You can't even get past the approach.
So we're just saying, think about it, reflect, talk to yourself a little bit, understand what type of vibes you're sending to people when you are out there, and then be accordant. And look, ladies, men love women. Your work is easy if you're doing the approach. Because some men may be afraid to approach you. But when you approach them, you just made it so much easier for them to say,
Yes. If you got the nerve to do the approach, so you got it from there. I'm telling you from the personal experience, you got it from there. If you get up the nerve to do the approach, even if it's on Facebook, just to say, hey, everybody said happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Yours be different. Hey, happy birthday. May this year be the absolute best year ever. May this year you get everything you've prayed for. Make your approach a little bit different. That's what stands out.
Fellas, all you have to do is smile. And when the comment has been said, the response to you saying hello, smile and walk away if it's negative. Because if she see you 3-4 weeks from now in that same establishment and you got a woman on your shoulder that said yes, then she's going to say, maybe I missed something about him. You just don't know. But what you don't want to do is put your head down and act like you just lost your best friend because someone didn't say something positive back to you.
Right. Whew. All right. We got to end this. This is 30 minutes more than we.
Yeah,
so I guess we needed to talk about this.
Yeah, we got to get this on my chest.
Yes.
So now I can have a clean heart.
Yes, because we was carrying this thing. This thing was burdening us. Like, what are we like? Oh, it's a lot of self work that needs to be done. Like y'all are, disappointing us. Like this.
Y'all are beautiful people, but you're now presenting yourself as a beautiful person to people on the first approach.
Right. Y'all are.
We're trying to control the narrative. Get out your own way. Let God be God.
Get to know people.
All these
have
things.
Understanding, respect, and patience for people. Come on now. Come on.
And don't approach someone if you just had the worst day of your life. Maybe you have to put that off until tomorrow.
Right.
And you had a chance to go home, drink your glass of wine, unwind, get you some good sleep, take a great shower, great bath, whatever it is, and then catch them tomorrow when you got better energy.
Yes. And remember, at the end of the day, just about 90% of people's outcome want to find that exclusive love.
Yeah.
So, the end goal is marriage. And so, but that's not the interest goal. The interest goal is to get to know the person, to see if they are even, qualified to even build equity with. So,
with that being said, we pray that you guys got something out of this.
Yes.
Moving forward, we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
Yes. All right. Be blessed. Deuces.